Prabhupada, translated into English from his Bengali essays of 1940s and 1950s. And then we shall continue also in the Krishna book. So, Srila Prabhupada writes, there is no one who possesses more knowledge than Lord Chaitanya. The knowledge of Krishna consciousness, which is logical and scientific, must be received from Lord Chaitanya. Has Dr. Radhakrishnan anywhere discussed Lord Krishna on the basis of the precepts of Srila Jiva Goswami, who is in the direct disciplic line of Lord Chaitanya? We request Dr. Radhakrishnan to study the Shat Sandarbha of Srila Jiva Goswami. He was especially empowered by his spiritual masters to direct his writings towards the scholars and philosophers and make them understand this esoteric knowledge. Another philosopher of his stature is yet to be born. In fact, no one in the future will be able to surpass him in erudition. We hope that since Dr. Radhakrishnan is a philosopher, he will not reject Srila Jiva Goswami's precepts. From the writings of Dr. Radhakrishnan, one can easily prove how he is perplexed in trying to fathom the science of Krishna consciousness. He tries to present the Lord Krishna as an extraordinary human being and a historical figure of India. But the Bhagavad Gita makes such a task impossible. In his introductory essay, page 30, he writes, quote, in the Gita, Krishna is identified with the Supreme Lord, the unity that lies beyond the manifold universes, the changeless truth beyond or behind all appearances, transcendent over all and immanent in all. He is the manifested Lord, making it easy for mortals to know. For those who seek the imperishable Brahman, reach him no doubt but after great toil. He is called Paramatman. How can we identify a historical individual with the Supreme God? The representation of an individual as identical with the universal self is familiar to Hindu thought. In the Upanishads we are informed that the fully awakened soul, which apprehends the true relation to the Absolute, sees that it is essentially one with the latter and declares itself to be so. Unquote. So Prabhupada continues. But the jiva's becoming essentially one with the Lord is not the last word in spiritual life. Of course, Sripad Shankaracharya propagated this idea so that atheists could at least come to this level of realization. But beyond this is the realm of the Supreme Absolute Personality of Godhead. Having entered the sphere of transcendence, if one does not perceive the Supreme Transcendental Personality, one's spiritual practice remains incomplete due to contaminated intelligence, and one has to return to the realm of materialism. Though claiming that the world is an illusion, jagat mithya, such an unsuccessful transcendentalist then becomes entangled in political, social, and altruistic affairs. Dr. Radhakrishnan has never directly perceived the Supreme Transcendental Personality, Lord Sri Krishna. Although Lord Krishna is right in front of him, he cannot see him, and thus out of delusion, he calls him a historical person. Genuine Indian religious philosophy teaches that there are both oneness with God and difference from him. This concept of simultaneous oneness and difference has been termed Vishishtadvaita, Dvaitadvaita, Shuddhadvaita, and Achincha Veda Veda Tattva. If this esoteric concept were false, then Krishna would not be worshipped throughout India practically in every home. He is worshipped not as a historical figure, but as the Supreme Lord. Krishna's position as the Supreme Godhead is firmly established by the authoritative text, Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the natural commentary on and essence of the Vedanta Sutra and the Gayatri Mantra. Many scholarly Mayavadis, far more erudite than Dr. Radhakrishnan, have tried to shake the faith of the general populace. But since time immemorial, Krishna temples have mushroomed by the millions, a slap in the face for the Mayavadis and atheists, who claim that Lord Krishna is an ordinary mortal. Now, the next sentence, this book, which is written in the 1950s, I think is very significant. In the future also, more Krishna temples will be built to frustrate the agnostics and non-believers. It's clear Srila Prabhupada had this vision even then. All Vishnu temples are authorized by the scriptures and the charyas. It hardly seems that just for the sake of Dr. Radhakrishnan, the entire Indian population is going to strike a compromise with Mayavadi philosophy. Indian history is filled with accounts of many brilliant heroes who lit up the heavens with their fame. Why have the many sages and philosophers left aside these brilliant sons and chosen only Sri Krishna, Sri Rama, and their expansions to worship as the supreme Godhead? The spiritual preceptors who have delved into the scriptures to make an unbiased study of this phenomenon are scholars far more advanced than Dr. Radhakrishnan. Yet, it is quite understandable that an ordinary mortal like Dr. Radhakrishnan is illusioned about Lord Krishna, since even the residents of the heavenly planets are illusioned about him, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhuyanti Yat Surya. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion. The Earth planet is way down in the 7th position among the 14 planets in this cosmic system, so its residents are endowed only with meager potency. Among the countries of this meager Earth planet, Bharatavarsha, or India, is the best because since the dawn of creation, Indian sages have exhibited the most exceptional skill in pursuing the esoteric spiritual science. In days of yore, these sages could communicate with the higher planetary systems. But today India is in such a bad condition that we are not willing to follow the instructions of previous sages. We are willing to accept Krishna as a historical figure, but by devious means we try to distort his instructions with confusing philosophical jargon. This is proof of India's undesirable state. India now has become eager to do away with the real God and replace him with many fake gods. That is the greatest misfortune for India. So there's a subheading, Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. It is strange but true that political leaders can never understand that the absolute truth cannot be impersonal or formless, but must be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The scriptures are filled with passages that describe incarnations, such as the gigantic form of Lord Mahavishnu lying on the causal ocean. But Lord Krishna is the source of Mahavishnu. Still, the demented political leaders cannot comprehend the truth. But if out of his mercy Lord Krishna wishes to bless such atheists, then their rock-like hearts will soften and they will see the two-handed form of Krishna playing his flute in Vrindavan. Those who try to understand Lord Krishna without receiving his mercy, like Dr. Radhakrishnan, will certainly be deluded, even if they are scholar philosophers like him. The Brahma Samhita says that Lord Krishna is easily manifest to the devotees, but is beyond the reach of Vedic scholars. Srila Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya has proved this point by participating in a pastime of Lord Chaitanya's, in which the Bhattacharya exhibited his Vedic learning. In recent times, pundits such as Sri Bankim Chattopadhyaya and Sri Bhandarkar have became equally deluded trying to approach this subject. One who really wants to know Krishna must follow the path he prescribes in the Bhagavad Gita 1855. Bhaktyamam abhijanati yavam yaschasmi tattvatah. One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. Except for devotional service, there is no way to understand Krishna. When Lord Krishna appeared in the form of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gave the same instruction about attaining Krishna through devotional service. So it is certain that Krishna can be approached only in this manner. Following the disciplic line of Lord Chaitanya, the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan have written extensive literature with detailed explanations of Lord Krishna. These confidential revelations are yet to be properly broadcast in the world. Here's another significant statement. I'll read it again. These confidential revelations are yet to be properly broadcast in the world. The Goswamis' esoteric knowledge and profound analytical philosophy have not yet caught the attention of modern thinkers. And the burden of guilt for this discrepancy must indeed fall on us. The Gaudiya Math mission was founded to propagate the words of Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. The gigantic universal form that Lord Krishna exhibited to Arjuna is certainly not the quintessence of the Lord's divine mood. In fact, the two-handed human form of Krishna playing the flute is the super excellent manifestation of the Lord. But one must not make the mistake of thinking that because Lord Krishna appears as a human, he is human. His form is eternal and full of knowledge and bliss, unlike an ordinary mortal. He is not even an extraordinary human being. The human form may be a facsimile of the Supreme Lord's transcendental form, but that does not make God a man or vice versa. The Bible and other scriptures state that man was made according to the form of God, but that does not imply that God is a man. There is substantial proof in the Gita that those who thoroughly grasp the truth about God will, upon leaving the material body, enter into the spiritual realm and be with God. Only those who realize God as the eternal, supreme personality can become immortal. This realization is the human being's prerogative alone, and one who attains it reaches the highest perfection. Once achieving perfection, the jiva never returns to this temporary world of birth, death, old age, and disease. Only those who discipline their lives so as to attain this objective fulfill the purpose of their human birth. Others plunge into oblivion. Maya induces one to make plans so that this temporary life of birth, death, old age, and disease can be permanent. The greatest delusion is to plan a life of non-stop bliss in this material world. Which is the better plan? The one that leads to birth in lower animal species like hogs and dogs, or the one that transports the jiva back to Godhead? The jiva's spiritual existence in the abode of the Lord consists of service to him in different mellows, such as servitude, friendship, parenthood, and conjugal love. Both Lord Krishna and Lord Chaitanya mercifully enacted pastimes to attract the jivas and to teach them the meaning of the following words in Gita: Sarva dharman prityaja mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami manashucha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Who could be more deprived than those conditioned souls who do not try to understand this truth? In the words of Srila Narottam Das Thakur, one who has not tried to realize his relationship with the Lord has wasted his life. Such a person is a miscreant and is worse than an animal. Without proper understanding, Dr. Radhakrishnan has given his opinion about the descent of the Lord's incarnation. He writes, quote, "An avatar is a descent of God into man and not an ascent of man into God," unquote. What he means by descent of God into man is that the avatars, or incarnations, possess physical bodies made up of the 5 gross elements. Of course, it remains to be clarified what he means by not an ascent of man into God. Nowadays, it is very much in vogue to designate a man as God. And it is not just a few who are said to be avatars. Many philosophers go as far as to say that every human being is God. For the present, we do not wish to delve into this subject. We would like to inform Dr. Radhakrishnan, however, that when the Supreme Lord empowers a jiva with his divine potency so that the jiva can carry out some specific work, then that jiva is known as Shakti-Avesh avatar. But this is not the only type of incarnation. The scriptures describe innumerable incarnations of the Supreme Lord, such as Swayam Rup, Swayam Prakash, Avesha, Vilas, Prabhava, Vaibhava, Yuga Avatar, Purusha Avatar, Guna Avatar, and Manvantara Avatar. If we calculate the duration of one Manvantara Avatar life, it comes to an incredible number of years, more than 300 million. And there are other incarnations who live longer. The scriptures give details of the Lord's authorized incarnations, the purpose for their appearance, their forms, the places of appearance, their pastimes, and so on. And there is no room for the vox populi whimsically choosing an ordinary mortal as an incarnation. And if, despite the scriptural injunctions, some people still accept a human being as an incarnation, it is easy to surmise the extent of their scriptural knowledge. The goddess of learning, Saraswati, inspired Dr. Ramakrishna to say, "Man cannot become God." We would like to clarify this statement by saying, even after becoming liberated, a man cannot become God. A liberated person can become a pure devotee of God, but he cannot become God or merge into God and lose his identity. There are innumerable instances in which a liberated soul, failing to become God, also refused to become God's devotee. The only option then open to him is that we describe in the Srimad Bhagavatam 10:2-32. Ye anye ravindaksha vimukta maninas tvai asta bhava avishuddha buddhaya aruya krishrena param padam tata patantya bhonadritta yushma amvraya. Which means, O lotus-eyed Lord, although non-devotees who accept severe austerities and penances to achieve the highest position may think themselves liberated, their intelligence is impure. They fall down from their position of imagined superiority because they have no regard for your lotus feet. Attracted by material nature's external glare, such liberated souls have come down to this earth and become wrapped up in some social, political, or altruistic work. Besides the eternally conditioned jivas, there are others who are eternally liberated, nitya mukta. They never come to this material world. Among the eternally conditioned jivas, nitya baddha, are those who make a big show of gaining liberation from this world. An analogy the Mayavadis often repeat is, all rivers flow into the ocean. This means that all jivas merge into Brahman. But the truth that escapes them is that many large aquatics are permanent residents of the ocean and are never attracted to go and live in the river. The eternally liberated souls need not strive for liberation. Dr. Radhakrishnan has used the expression self-conscious man. We do not object to this term if it indicates a state of consciousness of the self in which a person realizes he is an eternal servant of God, Krishna. Lord Chaitanya came to teach this truth. Once the jiva realizes that he is an eternal servant of Lord Krishna, he ends his life of misery. He becomes liberated by that realization, and later he understands that liberation personified is standing nearby, waiting to serve him and all other eternal servitors of the Supreme Lord Krishna. The authorized scriptures have declared that Krishna is the original Supreme Lord and the source of all incarnations. In the Bhagavad Gita 7:7, he says in his own words, Matta Parakaram Nanya, O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Lord Krishna came personally to teach that the highest absolute truth is not an impotent material concept. He is the full manifestation of absolute spiritual potencies. Those who cannot grasp this profound truth are fools spinning out endless speculations. A person who, although one, desires to expand and thus become many, can such a person be a human being or a formless, impersonal entity? When this person decides to expand himself manifold, is he doing so in order to destroy himself? If the Lord were to lose his own identity by expanding himself into many, that would mean destruction of himself. Has the Supreme Lord committed such a foolish blunder? Or has the blunder been committed by those who misrepresent the Vedic statements and say that God expanded himself into many entities and lost his identity? The Supreme Lord can do as he pleases. He can expand himself as countless incarnations or as multifarious separate energies. And even after expanding himself in this way, he remains complete and fully himself. If this were not so, then how could he be the absolute, complete whole? I think there's just enough left in this chapter for tomorrow's meeting. I will read that. Next section, last section, is called Captivated by Maya. The Jiva has forgotten Lord Krishna. Now we will continue with the Krishna book. This is volume 2 of this paperback edition, chapter 8, the killing of the elephant Kuvalyapida. After taking their baths and finishing all other morning duties, Krishna and Balaram could hear the beating of the kettle drums in the wrestling camp. They immediately prepared themselves to proceed to the spot to see the fun. When Krishna and Balaram reached the gate of the wrestling camp, they saw a big elephant of the name Kuvalyapida being tended by a caretaker. The caretaker was deliberately blocking their entrance by keeping the elephant in front of the gateway. Krishna could understand the purpose of the caretaker, and he prepared himself by tightening his dress before combating the elephant. He began to address the caretaker in a very grave voice, as resounding as a cloud. "You miscreant caretaker, give way and let me pass through the gate. If you block my way, I shall send you and your elephant to the house of death personified." The caretaker, being thus insulted by Krishna, became very angry, and in order to challenge Krishna, as was previously planned, he provoked the elephant to attack. The elephant then moved before Krishna like inevitable death. It rushed towards him and tried to catch him with its trunk, but Krishna very dexterously moved behind the elephant. Being able to see only to the end of its nose, the elephant could not see Krishna hiding behind its legs, but tried to capture him with its trunk. Krishna again very quickly escaped capture, and he again ran behind the elephant and caught its tail. Holding the elephant by its tail, Krishna began to pull it, and with very great strength, he dragged it for at least 25 yards, just as Garuda drags an insignificant snake. Krishna pulled the elephant from this side to that, from right to left, just as he used to pull the tail of a calf in his childhood. After this, Krishna went in front of the elephant and gave it a strong slap. He then slipped away from the elephant's view and ran to its back. Then, falling down on the ground, Krishna placed himself in front of the elephant's two legs and caused it to trip and fall. Krishna immediately got up, but the elephant, thinking that he was still lying down, tried to push an ivory tusk through the body of Krishna by forcibly stabbing it into the ground. Although the elephant was harassed and angry, the caretaker, riding on its head, tried to provoke it further. The elephant then rushed madly towards Krishna. As soon as it came within reach, Krishna caught hold of the trunk and pulled the elephant down. When the elephant and caretaker fell, Krishna jumped on the elephant's back and broke it, and killed the caretaker also. After killing the elephant, Krishna took an ivory tusk on his shoulder, decorated with drops of perspiration, and sprinkled with the blood of the elephant. He felt very blissful, and thus he began to proceed towards the wrestling camp. Lord Balaram took the other tusk of the elephant on his shoulder. Accompanied by their cowherd boyfriends, they entered the arena. When Krishna entered the wrestling arena with Balaram and their friends, he appeared differently to different people according to their different relationships or rasas with him. Krishna is the reservoir of all pleasure and all kinds of rasas, both favorable and unfavorable. He appeared to the wrestlers exactly like a thunderbolt. To the people in general, he appeared as the most beautiful personality. To the females, he appeared to be the most attractive male, Cupid personified, and thus increased their lust. The cowherd men who were present there looked upon Krishna as their own kinsman, coming from the same village of Vrindavan. The Kshatriya kings who were present saw him as the strongest ruler. To the parents of Krishna, Nanda and Yashoda, he appeared to be the most loving child. To Kamsa, the king of the Bhoja dynasty, he appeared to be death personified. To the unintelligent, he appeared to be an incapable personality. To the yogis present, he appeared to be the supersoul. To the members of the Vrishni dynasty, he appeared to be the most celebrated descendant. Thus, appreciated differently by different kinds of men present, Krishna entered the wrestling arena with Balaram and his coward boyfriends. Having heard that Krishna had already killed the elephant, Kuvalyapida, Kamsa knew beyond doubt that Krishna was formidable. Thus, he became very much afraid of him. Krishna and Balaram had long hands. They were beautifully dressed, and they were attractive to all the people assembled there. They were dressed as if they were going to act on a dramatic stage, and they drew the attention of all people. The citizens of Mathura city who saw Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, became very pleased and began to look on his face with insatiable glances as if they were drinking the nectar of heaven. Seeing Krishna gave them so much pleasure that it appeared that they were not only drinking the nectar of seeing his face, but were smelling the aroma and licking up the taste of his body, and were embracing him and Balaram with their arms. They began to talk amongst themselves about the two transcendental brothers. For a long time they had heard of the beauty and activities of Krishna and Balaram, but now they were personally seeing them face to face. They thought that Krishna and Balaram were two plenary incarnations of the Supreme Personality of God, Narayan, who had appeared in Vrindavan. The citizens of Mathura began to recite Krishna's pastimes, his birth as the son of Vasudeva, his being taken into the care of Nanda Maharaj and his wife in Gokula, and all those events leading to his coming to Mathura. They spoke of the killing of the demon Putana, as well as the killing of Trinavarta, who came as a whirlwind. They also recalled the deliverance of the twin brothers from within the Yamala Arjuna trees. The citizens of Mathura spoke among themselves. Shankashura, Keshi, Dhenukashura, and many other demons were killed by Krishna and Balaram in Vrindavan. Krishna also saved all the coward men of Vrindavan from devastating fire. He chastised the Kaliya snake in the water of Jamuna, and he curbed with false pride the heavenly king Indra. Krishna held up the great Govardhan hill in one hand for 7 continuous days, and saved all the people of Gokula from incessant rain, hurricane, and windstorm. They also began to remember other enlivening activities. Damsels of Vrindavan were so pleased by seeing Krishna's beauty and participating in his activities that they forgot the purpose of material existence. By seeing and thinking of Krishna, they forgot all sorts of material fatigue. The Mathura citizens discussed the dynasty of Jadu, saying that because of Krishna's appearance in this dynasty, the Yadus would remain the most celebrated family in the whole universe. While they were thus talking about the activities of Krishna and Balaram, they heard the vibrations of different bands announcing the wrestling match. The famous wrestler Chanura then began to talk with Krishna and Balaram. "My dear Krishna and Balaram," he said, "we have heard about your past activities. You are great heroes, and therefore the king has called you. We have heard that your arms are very strong. The king and all the people present here desire to see a display of your wrestling abilities. A citizen should be obedient and please the mind of the ruling king. Acting in that way, that a citizen attains all kinds of good fortune. One who does not care to act obediently is made unhappy because of the king's anger. You are coward boys, and we have heard that while tending your cows in the forest, you enjoy wrestling with each other. We wish, therefore, for you to join us in wrestling so that all the people present here, along with the king, will be pleased." Krishna immediately understood the purpose of Chanura's statements, and he prepared to wrestle with him. But according to the time and circumstances, he spoke as follows. "You are subjects of the king of Bhoja, and you live in the jungle. We are also indirectly his subjects, and we try to please him as far as possible. This offer of wrestling is a great favor of his, but the fact is that we are simply boys. We sometimes play in the forest of Vrindavan with our friends who are our own age. We think that to combat persons of equal age and strength is good for us, but to fight great wrestlers like you would not be good for the audience. It would contradict their religious principles." Krishna thus indicated that the celebrated strong wrestlers should not challenge Krishna and Balaram to fight. In reply to this, Chanura said, "My dear Krishna, we can understand that you are neither a child nor a young man. You are transcendental to everyone, as is your big brother Balaram. You have already killed the elephant Kuvalyapida, who is capable of fighting and defeating other elephants. You have killed him in a wonderful way. Because of your strength, it behooves you to compete with the stronger wrestlers among us. I therefore wish to wrestle with you, and your elder brother Balaram will wrestle with Mushtika. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the second volume, 8th chapter of Krishna, the killing of the elephant Kuvalyapida. So tomorrow we shall go to the high point of excitement in this section, the chapter entitled The Killing of Kamsa. So stay tuned to this station. Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada ki jai.